What's up, guys? Welcome back to Double D Report. It's me and Dean. We're back after the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 for March Madness, and pretty much the first weekend of baseball. Everything was electric. All of it was fun, and obviously a little stuff in the NBA and a little dash in the NHL. But mainly today we're going to be focusing on NCAA and MLB. Dean, you want to start off with our NCAA tournament?
Yeah. Apologies for my voice, everybody. I know I'm sound like a squirrel or something like that. But yeah, just to start off with the NCAA, I quite literally just want to put out there, I think this tournament sucks this year. It may only be because I keep getting every single one of my picks wrong, but I do think the tournament absolutely just blows this year. We have in the Final Four now all four number one seeds in Duke, Auburn, Florida, and Houston. So this entire tournament has been pretty much chalk, which is never fun from a viewer perspective because we always want to see some sort of Cinderella, some sort of, 6, 7, 8, 9 seed make it to the Final Four just because, they've been playing really good basketball. That has not been the case here. The one seeds have dominated the field. Obviously, Duke being at the very top of that list where they have like 3 out of 4 of their games are 20-plus point winners, which is crazy at this stage of the year. So, yeah, I just wanted to put it out there that I hate this NCAA tournament right now. But, Derek, you can continue.
So, obviously, as what Dean said, this is actually the second time in, I think, 8 years. No, not 8 years. I think it's like 17 years or something like that, to where there's been all one seeds in the Final Four.
It's only the second time in history, and if I remember correctly, it is the first time. The first time was in like 2006 or 2008.
It was 2008. So obviously, so it's not like people are going into it like this. Oh, it's the best teams. It's the best teams. They're gonna be in the Final Four. No, it doesn't happen often. Normally, a 1 seed gets eliminated. If there's like a 4 seed, a 3 seed, it's not normally like this. One thing I do want to say, I don't know if you saw this, but on CBS, this is like a little side thing, but I saw it yesterday, and I had to bring it up, to where they brought on, not a magician, I don't know, his name is Oz,
Yeah.
and on March 20th, he put his prediction in a little envelope, and they opened up his prediction. I think it was yesterday before the games.
Yeah.
Before all the Final Four games, and he got them all right.
Before we started, March 20th, when we sealed at 115, our bracket buster would be Arkansas beating St. John's. Wow. I said Florida will beat Texas Tech. Number 1, Duke will beat Alabama. Today, watch. Houston will beat Tennessee. Auburn will beat MSU. 4 number 1 seeds make it for the first time since 2008.
Look, he's a professional. If you were watching the entire segment, he was doing some crazy stuff where Charles looked like he was absolutely on a different planet because he couldn't believe what he was hearing.
It's actually like insane. Like that type of person should not be allowed to bet.
Well, he did say in the very first segment on the 20th that he would be betting on the games in order to get to the Final Four. So I'm sure not only did he get a pretty penny from CBS hiring him, but I'm sure he got a pretty penny from DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever sports book he was betting on.
Oh my god, that's insane. I don't want to talk about that. But we got to talk about the games. The games. Dean, I know you had a pretty high favorite in a certain team. The Tennessee Volunteers, is that their last name? Not the last name. Volunteers. Shut the fuck up. They did take the L, which I was not expecting them to take that bad of an L. Honestly, because they have been playing very well in this tournament. They've been blowing out their teams. But to get, it's not a 19-point game. Duke has been blowing out teams by 20. But Houston wasn't a team that everyone was scared of. They were, I believe, in the AP polls or in like the rankings, I think they were 4 or like 5 this year. They weren't like, obviously they weren't a Duke, they weren't a Florida, they weren't an Auburn. But to see the way Tennessee was playing in the tournaments, and then to see them unfold on that big stage, it's not fun to see because a lot of people had them going to the Final Four, and some even had them like you going to a championship.
Look, I do want to preface this once again. The Elite Eight was all 1 and 2 seeds, except one matchup was a 1 and 3, which that alone is pretty insane, right? It was straight chalk this tournament. Not only that, 3 out of 4 of the Elite Eight matchups were not good. They were never any competition. The winner was winning from the very beginning to the end. The one exception being Texas Tech did give Florida a little bit of a run for their money. But even then, Florida pulled it out, right? So these games really haven't been too competitive, especially the Duke and Houston ones, where they blew them out by 19 and 20. It's disappointing. So I'm hoping having 4 1 seeds in the Final Four, you're going to have some sort of better competition-wise, where all of these teams will maybe give it a little bit more. But that's the hope here.
Yeah, and obviously, like, we are, like, it does suck. We would have loved to see a little Cinderella story in the making. But it is kind of cool for it to be the second time in NCAA history tours happen. Because there's been a lot of fucking tournaments. I don't know exactly how much, but there's been a fucking lot. To where that only happened 2 times is kind of insane. It's a nice little historic thing that this year has on it. I would have liked to see like an Arkansas, a St. John in the Final Four, but unfortunately they got taken down by the team that was obviously better than them. But going into the Final Four, do you think in your eyes is the favorite to win?
It's got to be Duke. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, they have completely dominated the competition in every single facet in every single round of this tournament, right? I mean, they just absolutely blew out the number 2 seed Alabama, who in the previous round in the Sweet 16 blew out their opponent in BYU. So to say that it wouldn't be Duke going into the Final Four is madness. They are the clear favorite here.
Yeah. I strongly agree. I did actually say that Duke was going to win the championship this year. I did start off by saying that it would be Duke versus Auburn. I do stand by that. Because that'll be a very good game. Wait, no, I changed it. I forgot. I did change it. I changed it to Florida versus... I said if Florida made it, Florida would have been in the championship game. But they would have lost. Because Florida is a good team, but they do have like their little struggles. But I think a clear favorite is Duke. Like, they've been playing out of their fucking mind. Even the games to where Cooper Flagg, like, he's shown, like, signs of, like, oh, he's struggling. All the role players around him are picking up his slack.
They're playing perfect basketball. There's no flaws in their game as of recently, especially within this tournament. I don't see them losing. It's going to be interesting to see how the other 1 seeds fare against them, because to win, no matter who wins this tournament now, they're going to have to beat 2 number 1 seeds. So the competition is stiff at this point in the tournament, as it always has been. So this is where you make your money, and this is where you put in the big guns. But Duke just so far has been so dominant that it's kind of almost impossible to not pick them to win it all.
Now I have a question. Would you consider Duke's success to fall down to their coaching or the players that they have on their team?
I mean, a little bit of both, right? You can argue the players have been great, which they have been, right? Cooper Flagg, they have probably the best player within the nation in Cooper Flagg, who is almost definitely going to be a number 1 overall pick. But at the same time, their defense has been absolutely tremendous. They held a Alabama team who scored 90, 80, and 113 points in the first 3 rounds to 65 points, Derek. That's unbelievable defensively. Sure, Alabama didn't shoot the lights out of the ball from the 3-point range like they did against BYU, but still, to hold them, that high prolific offense, to 65 points, that's a testament to their defense. That's a testament to their coaching. So Yes, while their players have been phenomenal, right? You can pretty much look up and down that lineup, whether you're looking into Cooper Flag, as we continuously mentioned, or whether you look at Tyrese Proctor, Con Canuple. I mean, all of these guys have been playing tremendously well, but to hold a team like Alabama to 65 points, that's coaching, that's scheme, that's playbook, that's really just defensive all overall effort. So it really has been a little bit of both, and you got to commend them because they have been playing absolutely flawless basketball throughout this tournament, and it continued into last week, and I expect to continue to get in the Final Four against Houston.
Yeah, it's don't get me wrong. Like obviously, like people because they were going into this tournament being the favorites, and normally that doesn't always stick to its word. To where they always have like a little plunder game, to where like they look like they're gonna lose. Like Florida, they've had 2 games to where they were down and then they came back and won. To where they see people have seen the flaws of Duke. I'm not seeing as a fan. I'm not seeing flaws that have been exposed in this tournament, which is insane to see like obviously the round of 64, the round of 32, Sweet 16, Elite 8, all those games, and even the ACC championship without Cooper Flag. I don't see any. They're just playing outright perfect basketball, and not all. My opinion, I would credit it more to the coach because obviously last year it was a rough year for them. They didn't have all like these great prospects that they have now, but all these young freshmen who they added this year helped them out immensely, and obviously took them to the Final Four.
Yeah, completely agreed. I don't see any way they lose. I mean, this is the Final Four once again, right? They could have a bad game, they could have a bad shooting game, and everything could turn around and be different. But at the same time, it's just based on the way they're playing. It's so hard to even fathom a situation in which that does happen.
It's honestly, me personally, I know most people are like you. They don't like this matchup, but I do. I purely like it based off of the fact that it's the best. It's like the college football like playoff bracket. It's the best teams like that are versus each other. They went through this whole process. Obviously, in NCAA, not the best, not the number one teams made it. Not the bye teams made it to the championship game. It was Notre Dame versus Ohio State. It was the teams that were the best coached and the best played and like best like teams. So I think it's very
Well,
good.
look, I have a news flash for you because if you do like this, if you like number one seeds, if you like almost all the two seeds making it to the Elite Eight, it's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen in the years coming, especially with the NIL deals now, right? Because these high profile schools, such as Duke, such as Florida, Auburn, Houston, etc., right? They're the ones who can afford to go out there and recruit the top players in the nation. Whereas a lot of these, lower seeded teams where they have been able to in the past find diamonds in the rough, such as we looked at the Loyola Chicago team, right? We looked at some New Mexico teams that have been really good. You look at just some different types of Cinderella stories. Colorado State, whether it be Drake, for example. These teams, they don't have the money power, the spending power to compete with the bigger schools now. So moving forward, most likely you're going to get less Cinderellas. You're going to get more one, two, three seeds making it into the Elite Eight. And that's just the way it's going to be because they have the better talent.
Yeah. Well, surprisingly, which I was shocked by, the number one ranked recruit. I don't want to butcher his name, so I'm just gonna say his first name. His name is AJ, and he's a center. He's one of the best centers in the nation, and he committed to Memphis, I believe.
Nope.
Which is it's not the number one school, but it's a very good coach school to where he can get a lot of NIL deals out of it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole purpose of what I'm trying to say is that if you do like this style of tournament, Derek, where you're going to have best on best, that's just going to how it's going to be moving forward, and that's okay. You may have one Cinderella every once in a while that's like an 8 seed who's able to recruit one phenomenal player, and they just carry them throughout a tournament. It's more than possible, but if you just have a team of average players, it's only going to get you so far nowadays, especially when the top players go to these top schools with the most spending money and the most NIL deals.
Yeah. Well, it obviously the NIL thing, it does like suck for like the smaller schools, but it sucks for smaller schools, but it benefits the players in the long run. To where like obviously like even for example, a kid who's going to a Murray State, Memphis, they're gonna get if they see there being a star on their team, they're gonna get a huge deal out of it because of the school that they're at. By someone, someone's gonna give them a huge deal to where the face of the company or something. To where that's where on that fact that's where it's very good. But then obviously the other side, it could be like it's just building super teams, pretty much. Which I hope doesn't happen. I don't want to see super teams to where it's like everyone thought that Zion, R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish team, that was a super team a while back with Duke, and they ended up losing to Michigan State. So I want like competitive like teams put together, but enough to like not be too overpowered, if you know what I mean.
Well, you can't have the best of both worlds, Derek. You're asking for too much at this point.
I know, I know. I'm always asking for too much. I believe, obviously, your championship game one team got eliminated again.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a team you want to replace them with?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. You're right. I have gotten almost every aspect of this tournament incorrect because I've been faring on the side that yes, a team can upset one of these one seeds or, a Cinderella team can come in here and do some damage. I'm just going to sit this one out. I'm gonna confidently say that I think Duke is gonna win just because they are the best team remaining in the field. Who knows? Maybe the Dean curse is real and Duke gets fucking eliminated by Houston next. But I just think from what I've seen and from what I've watched in this tournament, rather than hope, I don't see Duke losing.
I don't remember. I don't remember your exact words that you said, but you were saying stuff on the lines of 2 out of the 4 one seeds would have got eliminated.
I did. I did. I said it would be Houston and Auburn. Auburn wound up winning by 6, and Houston wound up winning by 19. So, what I said was incorrect, and I'm going to have to live with that. And then not only did I say that, I thought Michigan State was going to be fraudulent against Ole Miss, and they wound up winning and going to the Elite Eight. So, and then on top of that, what you have mentioned already, but I also had Tennessee not only going to the Final Four, but going into winning the championship. So, my tournament has been a utter disappointment and a piece of shit, if you will. So I'm going to take a back seat. I'm going to pick Duke because fuck it, that's the easy pick, right? And I will move on.
He joins the dark side. Woohoo! Because for once, I can actually say this. I was right. I was 3 out of the 4 for the Final Four. Which is, to even start it off, I was 3 out of the 4. Which is, oh no, I wasn't. I'm a dumbass. I had Purdue. I went 2 out of 4, which is still 50%. It's not too bad, but overall, what I've learned from this tournament is that Dean is not good at college basketball.
I was really hoping there were going to be more upsets, and well, there wasn't.
Well, to real quick end off the little Final Four segment, so we could go into the huge segment that just happened, baseball. I want to get your prediction for each game. I'm not even going to say the Duke game, but I want Duke versus Houston. You're going to have Duke, and Auburn versus Florida. Very good game.
Yep. So Duke versus Houston, I have Duke winning by 16. Auburn, Florida, I have Auburn winning by 4. And then in the championship, Duke versus Auburn, I have Duke winning by 26.
Oh my fucking god. If that happens, see, that would be fucking comical. You failed all the way to get here just to predict exactly how it went.
It would make sense, man. I mean, these fucking teams have fucked me in the ass too many times to count in this tournament. Plus, it would really just cap off how bad of a tournament this has been, in my opinion.
I mean, that's obviously it's your opinion.
Yeah, but I was going to say my opinion's better than yours, so.
Fuck you. No. But most of the world was pretty disappointed by this tournament because obviously there wasn't that many Cinderella stories, which is understandable. But that's all goes off of how you want. Like if you didn't want it to be like that, it's all perception in a way.
Yep.
So moving on from the NCAA tournament, we're gonna go on to.
If you yawn one more time,
Dude, I'm
I
tired.
swear to God, I'm leaving.
Dude, I'm so tired. I can't stop it, man.
Get it together, you stupid. I swear to God, I'll leave this podcast for the night. You can do the rest of this shit yourself if you yawn one more fucking time.
Well, moving on from the NCAA, we're going to go on to what me and Dean have been very, very, very excited for. It's been huge. It's a huge sport. It has been on the decline the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But it's still most people's favorite sport. It's baseball. The MLB is back. It's hype. The first weekend went by, and Dean, I want your honest opinions on the first weekend of MLB.
Yeah, it's everything we wanted, right? The MLB did a great job. The scheduling quirks I wasn't a huge fan of. Not every team played on Friday. Not every team played on Sunday, which is very strange. I've never seen a Sunday without baseball. However, we're going to move past that because baseball's back and a lot of the games were very good, right? They lived up to the hype. It's always nice to see the teams come back. You have a lot of new players on a lot of different teams. Juan Soto, for example, hitting his first home run as a Met, which is always nice to see. So definitely a lot to talk about and a lot to enjoy from opening weekend here. And that's including, today's Monday. The games are continuing. This is straight baseball through the end of the, summer, everybody. So enjoy it while it lasts. And spring is here, summer's here, which is always nice. But there were a couple of points that I wanted to really touch on. First and foremost, I think this goes without saying, the New York Yankees' absolute utter domination of the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, we're going to get to another big topic in a second because we do have to speak on it in depth. But watching these games, right, I was contemplating, are the Yankees that good? Nah, can't be that. Or are the Brewers that fucking horrific where they get outscored by they give up 36 runs in 3 games?
It's a lot of runs.
And my question was answered tonight, actually, because the Brewers started a new series against Kansas City and they lost 11-1. So not only are the Yankees raking, right? All their bats worked in the first series, right? Everybody was hitting. Aaron Judge back to MVP form like he never left. Jazz Chisholm looking good. Paul Goldschmidt, Belly looking good. Volpe even getting a couple of hits here and there. Wells hitting 2 home runs, becoming the first catcher in MLB history to hit a leadoff home run in a game opening day. Everything was clicking. However, there's an asterisk on that because of how fucking horrible the Milwaukee Brewers pitching was.
That was dreadful pitching.
I mean, Nestor Cortez.
That was the best that was the best thing of my life.
Threw 3 Italian sub meatballs in a row consecutively to Goldschmidt, Bellinger, and Judge. And take a guess of what happened.
Gone.
I mean, it's just absolutely pathetic. So I did want to shout out the Yankees. Obviously, they came to play in their first series in the Bronx. Their bats came to play extremely well. But at that same vein, I have to just, give a shout out to Milwaukee and say, you're fucking garbage. Just you need to figure it out.
I think their last string on that team was Devin Williams. And
it's such a shame too because their bullpen's not bad. It's just their starters were that horrific. But there were some other big storylines, right? So Atlanta Braves 0-4 now. I think that's a little bit of a surprise just because of the type of hype that they had coming into the season. So hopefully Atlanta, maybe just getting off to a slow start, they're going to be able to pick it up soon. I did want to note one of the series that I was pinpointing, which not a lot of people thought would be a good series, Pittsburgh Pirates against the Miami Marlins. First time in history, a team's first 3 wins in the season being Miami were all walk-off wins,
Insane.
which is unbelievable, right? Which it's unfathomable at that point because you have to think of it this way. All 3 of those games, the Pittsburgh Pirates had a lead.
That's so
And
sad.
all 3 of those games, they blew it in the 9th and let Miami walk them off.
That's so sad.
Awesome to watch.
Poor
I mean,
Pirates.
look, sure, it sucks for Pirates fans, but look, let's be honest here. You knew this coming into the season that you were going to suck ass. So just try to enjoy it. This was good for baseball, more or less.
Oh, yeah. Of course it was. It was fantastic for baseball.
It was fantastic. Some other big storylines: the Dodgers undefeated. Nobody's surprised there.
Fuck 'em.
They're just unbelievable. I mean, from top to bottom, they just continue to prove that they are outstanding at what they do. And then another big storyline that I wanted to touch on, and I wanted your thoughts on this, Derek, first and foremost. Why it's happening? Is it going to change? Does he need to be sat? Does he need to go play third? Rafael Devers, in the first 4 games of the year, is 0 for 19 at
Send
the
him to the
DH hole.
Shadow Realm.
0 for 19 with 15 strikeouts.
It's bad.
That's bad.
It's horrible. It's actually not.
That's
That's
bad.
not bad. That's fucking horrendous. That's wet donkey shit.
That is really fucking horrific. So my question to you, Derek, is if you're the Boston Red Sox, did you piss him off so much that maybe he just doesn't even care anymore? Do you have to put him back to third? Do you start entertaining trades for your star piece? I mean, what do you do here?
Okay.
Or the overarching, is it too early to make overreactions like this?
I don't think. All right. It is early to make an overreaction about it. I would say that. But on the other side, I do see like, did he must have really got bothered by, because this is not Rafael Devers. What I saw these games was not the Devers, the babyface assassin. That was a Teletubby pretty much holding a stick and swinging it and just not even trying to hit it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things. One, it looks like he's gained weight.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Immensely.
Not muscle, like full-on
Punch.
Derek fat.
Oh.
Derek fat over here, right? So, secondly, if you do watch the off-season tapes and the interviews of him, he was so emphatic that he was the third baseman. He's playing third base. I play field. I play third. Shut the fuck up, everybody. And then 3 days before opening day, Alex Cora comes in and says he is the Boston Red Sox full-time DH.
I'd be pissed.
So here's the thing, right? Last year, in terms of metrics, Rafael Devers was the worst third baseman in baseball. That's just a fact, right? But at the same time, this guy is your cornerstone. He's literally top 5 in MVP voting every year because he bats over 300. He hits over 35 home runs. The guy is an absolute stud. And not to mention, he kills your rival every year in the Yankees. He is a Yankee owner, as far as I'm concerned. So, to piss this guy off, one, if you're a Boston Red Sox fan, oh my God, you got to be thinking like this is another Mookie situation where they're going to trade him for a bag of nickels and I'm going to wind up blowing my head off with a double-barrel shotgun. And then on another portion of it, you're literally pissing the guy off where he's not even able to perform. So in the beginning of the year, so is it more or less an issue where he has to get used to not being in the field and kind of just sitting on the bench and then maybe getting ready to go hit? Or is it on the flip side of that where his mental's all fucked up and he's not even in the game right now?
I think honestly, this is what the Red Sox did that fucked up everything. Why wait 3 days before opening day to make this announcement? That makes no sense because there's no way you're contemplating this for spring training as soon as you sign Bregman. I just don't see it. Makes no sense to me.
The issue was that when he originally signed his contract with the Boston Red Sox, it was a different general manager. and that general manager assured him that he would be playing third base. So when a new general manager came in and signed Bregman, he pretty much told Devers, go fuck yourself. You're a hitter and only a hitter, and now you're going to be our full-time DH.
Trying to make him Big Poppy.
It's just a tough situation. I mean, look, not everybody's Big Poppy. Not everybody is just a career DH, and that's all they want to do. I mean, even look at Stanton, for example, right? He said his transition from being an outfielder to a DH was very difficult, and the numbers backed it up. His WAR and his batting average was better when he was in the outfield. And that just came with being in the play every game, being involved in the game every single play. So maybe in that regard, it is just a time of transition for Devers, right? The Red Sox are fully committing to this. He is not going back in the field no matter what the fuck he says. And he's just going to have to learn to be a DH.
I think if I'm a Boston Red Sox general manager, I'm pretty much looking how is Devers assessing him, how he's doing for a whole month. Because there's a lot of games in the MLB season, 162 games. If you let 1 month go by of Devers playing bad, which I don't know how many games that is exactly, if you let that go by, it's fine. It's not going to kill you. But I would definitely keep an eye on this motherfucker. Because what I didn't... You were 100% right. He is bigger. He doesn't look in shape at all. He looks like a shell of himself.
He just looks disinterested. It doesn't look like he cares, and that's a big issue for the Red Sox. This guy is everything in your lineup. You take him out of this lineup, it completely changes the whole dynamic of the team. So if he really is fucking horrible midway through the season, maybe you do have to start, considering unthinkable things for Red Sox fans in trying to trade him.
I swear to you, Dean. I swear to you. If I see another Mookie situation to where he's going to the fucking Dodgers, we're gonna have a fucking problem.
Well, that would never happen. But I'm just saying, this is one of those situations, especially for Red Sox fans, where all you're thinking in your head is Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. It's happening again. Like you're gonna lose your franchise player again for a bag of nickels, like they did with Mookie Betts.
I forgot who they even got out of Mookie Betts.
They got shit. That's what they got.
Yeah.
So it's a tough situation, but Derek, I do want you to introduce us to the main topic of baseball that we do have to discuss.
Okay. Obviously, me and Dean, huge Yankee fans. Huge Yankee fans. In the past 3 games, there were 36 runs. Aaron Judge hitting a lot of home runs. 4 home runs.
3 in 1 game, by the way.
3 in 1 game. To where in 1 game we scored 20 points. That's it, 20 points. 20 runs. Now in the MLB, they're noticing that the barrel of the bat is very abnormal.
Mm-hmm.
And most people are saying the Yankees are cheating, all this and that. But if you really break it down, what they're doing is legal. It's just a rule that wasn't deeply looked into. I want your opinion on this bat that's helping Volpe, who, mind you, last year was not batting well. And this motherfucker's hitting tactical nukes. As for Jazz Chisholm hitting a 425-foot bomb that I didn't see land.
The torpedo bats is what they're calling them, right? So, first and foremost, I do want to put this out there. There have been a whole bunch of specifications and questions asking whether or not this is legal, right? Yes, that's the emphatic answer. It is legal. This is not the first time the MLB has used them, by the way. They have been implemented the last few years for random players throughout the MLB, but nobody's noticed because it's not the Yankees and because there wasn't 15 home runs in the first 3 games, right? To make it legal, the diameter of the bat had to be a certain size, no bigger than that. It's no bigger than that. The bat cannot be over a certain length. The bat is not over that length. The bat has to be 1 full piece of undivided wood. The bat is 1 piece of undivided wood. All this bat does is take wood from areas that you don't need it, so like the handle and the grip of where the player is taking it, and it puts it into the portions of the bat for design players where they're mostly hitting the ball to make your barrel bigger. So, for example, Anthony Volpe, who this bat is designed to help play better, to hit the ball better, right? Anthony Volpe, if you look at his statistics last year, he would hit the ball in between a certain area on the bat. He would always barrel it, but a lot of times he would get jammed. A lot of times he would hit it off the end of the bat. This solves it. More wood is towards the middle part of the bat, so even if he gets jammed, he's still hitting it on the barrel. And that's what they're trying to fix with his swing. Same thing with Jazz Chisholm, right? His swing isn't changing. Nothing's changing. He's just hitting the ball on the barrel now, and it's going a lot farther, and he's hitting the ball well. 2 home runs in 1 game, mind you. This is 100% legal. The only reason people are looking at this is because it's the Yankees. There are multiple people this past weekend on other teams that use this bat, but nobody wants to discuss that because the Yankees hit 15 home runs. Francisco Lindor used this bat this weekend. You had players on the Minnesota Twins, the Kansas City Royals. You had players on the Atlanta Braves. All players across the MLB are using this so-called torpedo bat. This should be a non-issue.
Yes. I
and
agree.
And on top of that, not all players on the Yankees are using it. You think Judge, who is a 3-time, yes, I said 3-time, fuck you Altuve in 2017, 3-time MVP, you think he's using a different bat? Fuck no. He doesn't need a torpedo bat. And on top of that, you still have to hit the ball.
Exactly. That's my main point.
This bat isn't giving you special powers, right? This bat isn't, speeding up your swing. This bat it's not a bigger barrel, so you don't have more room to hit the ball. This bat isn't making you swing at more strikes rather than balls. You still have to hit the fucking baseball. So the fact of the matter is, if the bat's legal, no matter who's using it, who gives a shit? If it helps you hit a ball, if it makes you feel better about barreling up balls, who gives a damn? Use it. Fuck it. What does it matter? This should be a non-issue, and it only is because it's the Yankees and because people lose their shit if the Yankees start doing even a little bit better than they should.
Yes. Dean, I've never agreed with you so much before in my life. It's still the same size bat. It's just the barrel is it, correct me if I'm wrong, it's shaped differently to help out batters like Volpe, Jazz Chisholm. I'm pretty sure in Game 1 Wells used the bat.
Yeah, he did.
And on the home run, because the reason how I know is because when he hit the home run, I saw the bat. It was different. I was like, that's not that. I've never seen that before.
Look, this bat is just dispensing wood in different areas in order for you to hit to barrel it more.
Yeah.
That's all it's going to be doing. So a lot of different players around the MLB who have a low barrel rate, they're going to try out the bat.
Exactly. Volpe, use that shit like a motherfucker. If it benefits you, why aren't you gonna use it? It's not illegal.
It's extremely legal bat. This is an MIT person who created this bat in a lab, and he had all of the specifications down to a science. And on top of that, he got MLB's approval every step of the way. It is 100% legal. This is a non-discussion topic.
Yeah. It's just the reason the problem with this problem arises is it has the stamp of the New York fucking Yankees. Or the nickname, the Bronx Bombers, who were hitting bombs.
Look, I get what you're saying, right? They scored 36 runs. They hit 15 home runs in 3 games. I get it, right? Judge had 3 in 1 game, but he's an anomaly. He's fucking the best player in the world. So you can't really look to him. And on top of that, he's not using the bat. So go fuck yourself if you think he is. Secondly, how about, did you ever think that maybe, just maybe, if the Brewers didn't want them to hit a home run, how about they don't throw meatballs down the middle?
Honestly, I thought Nestor was playing for the Yankees and he was throwing BP.
It's just astonishing because then the one guy, right, who was complaining about it, I think it was McGill on the Brewers.
Yeah, it was Miguel. He's
He's complaining like, oh, they'll get away with it because it's the Yankees. One, it's a legal bat and every single person and all teams across the majors are using it. Two, if you look at the pitch he threw, it is middle. How about McGill? If you don't want people to hit home runs against you, don't throw a meatball that Derek throws to me in BP.
Hey. What the fuck?
But that's the honest answer here. Stop being a bitch. You threw a bad pitch. 90% of the major leagues are going to hit a home run on that, whether or not they use a stupid special bat or not.
For example, Adley Rutschman, game 1, his first game, I believe he had 2 home runs. He didn't use a special bat, but no one said anything about it. No one cared about it. By the Yankee Judge, people were giving shit to Judge, even though motherfucker doesn't change his bat. He uses the same bat he's always used. He's a 6'7" giant who has all muscle and is just nuking it.
And he's the best player in the majors. I mean, it is literally game 3 of the year. Nobody on, 2 outs. They're giving him the Barry Bonds treatment. They're intentionally walking him in game 3 of the year. And then you get mad when Jazz comes up and hits a 2-run homer.
Yes. Like, that home run that Jazz hit after him getting walked was the best thing of my life.
It's just, it's ridiculous. Look, I get it. I get that every single team, and this is not an exaggeration, every single team in the majors and all their fans hate the Yankees. But before you say something like we're cheating or the bat's illegal, how about you do some research about it? I mean, some prevalent players in the majors are using it. Francisco Lindor used it. I don't hear any shit towards the Mets.
It pisses me. Like, because obviously I have a couple of friends who aren't Yankee fans, and them saying they said shit to me today like, oh, they're using illegal bats, So like, no.
It's just ridiculous. It gets me. It gets me all riled up because there's no point in making a situation over this when there is no situation to be had.
In game 1, there was only 2 home runs. There was no one talking about it. Freddie Peralta pitched, who's a great pitcher, might add the best pitcher on their team, and only allowed 2 runs for the time being he was in. Then when he got yanked, another 2 runs came in. It's not like if you look at it into that perspective, 4 runs were scored the first game. You throw in Nestor, it was BP, 20 runs were scored. 8 runs were scored in the first inning, and the next game, 12 runs were scored throughout the entirety of the game. Which is, don't get me wrong, it is insane. 36 total runs in the first couple games is diabolical.
It is, but then you look at the same aspect. The Kansas City Royals just scored 11 on them as well.
Yes, exactly.
So you know what? Maybe the Milwaukee Brewers should look in the mirror and just say, Jesus Christ, maybe we need to have open tryouts with some of the fans.
I want to I need to know this. How many home runs were hit in this game?
What, the second game?
No, the Royals game. Garcia hit a home run, Perez hit a home run, and that's it. The rest were just like single, doubles, ground outs. They're just a shitty team. What I've seen from this, Milwaukee's a shitty team. And I had them winning the division.
Yep.
And how wrong was I?
Well, look, let's be honest here. The same thing with the Devers situation. It's very early to judge now.
There's no very early to judge with that team.
However, I do want to get into our mailbag, Derek, because it is in the baseball realm.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from.
Sorry for the lack of parody, everybody, but our old friend Nikki from the Bronx gave us another question. This guy is a true super fan of the podcast.
I love this man.
So, gonna bring it up to you, Derek. Obviously, you could go first, give you a thoughtful answer. I will rebuttal and or agree with you, or I'll just call you stupid.
Okay.
Derek and Dean. MLB first weekend was a huge success. A lot of great baseball was being played. Would love to ask you a question. Would you rather have a top 5 rotation and a bottom 10 bullpen, or a top 5 bullpen and a bottom 10 rotation.
Nicky from the Bronx is one of the best questions you ever asked.
Nikki from the Bronx knows how to put it out there. I appreciate it, Nikki. As always, we're going to answer it to the best of our ability. At least I am. Derek's going to be stupid and try to do his little pinwheel method. But let's see. What are you thinking?
I gotta go bullpen. I'm going bullpen purely off the standpoint of this. Obviously, starting pitchers are huge. They start off the game. But if you have like an outstanding bullpen, like if you have a Class A, a Josh Hader, I'm thinking like, well, in my head, I'm thinking of like the best possible. A Hader, a Blake Treinen, a Weaver, a Devin Williams, like all into one rotation. Obviously, what I just listed off was an absolute god squad of bullpen. But if you have the best bullpen, that pitching staff can get you through a game. Obviously, they'll be ringed throughout the whole year, but those pitchers can get you through a game. And starting pitchers, if you don't have starting pitchers, they're gonna get Tommy John after fucking a week or so. If you have, say, the best pitchers in the league, and you have a horrible bullpen, you're not relying on the bullpen. You need your starter to go 7+ innings, and that doesn't happen a lot anymore. Normally, pitchers get yanked in the 6th, maybe in the 5th, because in the past years we've seen a lot of no hitters, and they're not happening much anymore because they're savoring pitchers' arms, which makes sense. It's smart, but I think the best is probably the bullpen.
Okay. And this is where the parody begins. I am going to go the complete opposite. I think I would much rather have a top 5 star. Did he say top 5 or top 10? Just want to clarify before I answer. Top 5. I'd much rather have a top 5 rotation and a bottom 10 bullpen for multiple reasons. One, if you have a shit rotation, that means the majority of the time your starting pitcher is not getting through 5 innings. It's really bad. You are going to burn out your bullpen extremely quickly, no matter how good they are, right? That's number one. And as the season goes on and as the days get longer and as the games get longer, especially come October, your bullpen is going to be absolutely deteriorated and shot, and you're no longer going to be able to maintain that sort of pitching staff. That's just how it's going to be. Number 2, if you have a good rotation in today's MLB, that means they're all going at least 6 innings, which is phenomenal in today's MLB. And especially where there is so much talent and you can have extra roster spots. Now, I think it's 26 come the end of the year. You can implement another long reliever, or you can implement another reliever in there, and you can piece together the last 3 innings of a game. It doesn't matter how many pitchers you use. You won't burn them out, because if you only put in pitchers for like two-thirds of an inning, you're constantly moving the rotation through. You can piece together 3 innings of baseball from your reliever perspective rather than having to piece together 5 from your bullpen. That is a huge difference.
I'm only saying this because of this. Is obviously a bullpen, you have a lot of, I don't know the exact amount off the top of my head. Is it 7 in the bullpen?
What?
7 total in the bullpen. You're allowed to have in the bullpen. Or is it 8?
You can have whatever your roster or depth chart offers, right? So, for example, the Yankees themselves have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the bullpen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most teams range from 7 to 8.
Most teams do, and that depends on how many people you want on your bench as well. Because come the playoffs, you're probably going to have 9 or 10 in the bullpen.
So the reason why I'm saying, and also there's another reason why I'm saying bullpen, is that there is a thing in the bullpen that's called a long-term reliever, who is in for 1 to 3 innings or somewhere around that range, which can get you through a game. If you have a bottom 10 starting rotation, they're gonna guarantee get you through at least 3 innings.
Yeah, but here's the issue, Derek, because if you have a bottom 5 rotation, most of the time those types of teams are also going to be implementing starters, right? So some of those games, maybe even 2 or 3 of those games of your starters, they're only going to go 3 or 4 innings. So that's even more taxing to your bullpen that has to put on more innings on their arms. You're getting into a situation where you're overworking your bullpen, and then come playoff time, if you do make the playoffs, you're basically strictly relying on these guys not burning out, which is a very tough task, especially in the playoffs when every single out is taxing on your mental, on your arm, and you're facing the best hitters in the world, which is why I think you take length in starting pitching. You take better starting pitching over relievers.
To that point, I do get it to where there are gonna obviously, if say like Manuel Clase is pitching for fucking 3 innings and then he has to pitch the next day, that would be brutal. I'm not saying that wouldn't, but how I see it is this: like, say you have a Clase in for 2 innings, right? He starts up to get. You say like your starting pitcher gets yanked. Let's Dustin May, for example. Dustin May comes in, 3 innings, three shitty innings, he gets yanked. Obviously, Clase being a closer comes in, he comes in for 3 innings.
To your exact point, this exact situation happened with the Cleveland Guardians last year. Clase was overworked in the Yankee series, and he was giving up home runs and runs left and right, where he didn't do that all regular season. If you have to rely on your bullpens, and this is a fact, the Cleveland Guardians had a top 2 bullpen in the major leagues. Bad voice crack right there. My voice is shot. They had a top 2 bullpen in the major leagues. Top 2. But their starters in the Yankees series didn't go longer than 4 innings. So by the end of the series, their bullpen was completely shot, and the Yankees were teeing off of them. Whether it was Stanton, whether it was Judge, whether it was Wells, they were completely teeing off of them. I get what you're saying, and it works in the regular season. It works. You can definitely maintain a regular season with a top 5 bullpen and a bottom tier starting pitching staff, but come playoff time, you will not go far.
All right, to that point, I agree with you. Regular season, yes, it will work out very well. Postseason, I don't think it's impossible. I think it's just very difficult. You're starting, like, because I didn't even, like, honestly think of that when I was saying Class A, that last year they did have a top 2, and then the Yankees absolutely reamed that bullpen. But in that scenario, though, at the time, the Yankees were on fire. So that's hard to like put that into perspective.
It is, because in the playoffs you're going against the best teams. You're
Yes.
going against the best hitting. So if your bullpen is even a little tired and you're throwing guys out there, the Yankees actually did the same exact thing with Luke Weaver too. They were using him every game, and then come the Dodgers series, they had to pull back because he was completely shot.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to look about, but in playoff time, which is where all that matters, you're going to benefit from having a longer end rotation, and you're going to benefit from trusting your starters to go deeper in games.
All right, so what we could both agree upon is that it would work in the regular season, but come postseason is where the issue lies for the bullpen.
Yes, and I think the Cleveland Guardians and I think the Tampa Bay Rays are 2 perfect examples of that, where they get real analytical, where they get real scrappy, because they don't have the money and they don't have the resources to go out there and get great starting pitching. And they put together these bullpen pieces that are great, mind you, but then come playoff time, they're completely burnt out and you're using them every single game, and teams really catch up to it, especially come playoff time when you have the best hitters and you're going to a 7-game series. And if those hitters go against the same pitcher 4 times in a 7-game series, they have a better advantage of hitting them.
That's fair. All right, that's fair. All right.
That's my point.
That's a fair point to make.
Nonetheless, that was a good conversation. That was a good argument. Nikki, always a pleasure. Always, from the bottom of our heart. Always a pleasure. Keep them coming, everybody. I know Nikki has been back-to-back weeks. That's only because he loves us, and that's because he's asking a lot of questions. We're happy to take more. Keep them coming. TikTok, YouTube.
MySpace.
Derek's MySpace page or Derek's Grinder page. Really, whatever you want to comment on, bring them in. We're happy to answer
I
them.
do not have a grinder page. No.
I'm just saying.
Oh my fucking god. All right. We will segue from mailbag because I specifically want to talk about a certain MLB team who I'm very proud of. It is the San Diego Padres. They have been playing very, very, very well. And obviously, with that strong division, they're not getting overshadowed, but they are 4-0. They're playing good baseball in the past couple of games they've played. It's been good. A good hitting, good all around at bats. Obviously, they did go against the Braves. They swept them, which I honestly was not expecting. I thought the Braves would have split it, even though the Braves did lose. They don't have Acuna, Max Fried. I believe Strider isn't back yet, or he is.
He is. Well, he should be, yes.
And right now they're winning 4-2 against the Guardians, who the Guardians bats have been hot. They've been hitting very well. So seeing that team in that division doing very well, Tatis playing well, Cronenworth doing well. Tatis is actually batting .467, which I don't know. They might check him for PEDs again. He might get banned forever because his last ban was a year, I believe. I just want to give a little shout out to the Padres on them playing very well because they're not going to get that much love because they're in that rough division. But that's all I want. Do you have any teams in your mind that you're very obviously besides the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this already. It's very early in the season, right? So it's so hard to have an accurate representation of how a team looks 3-4 games into a year. But at that same time, you do put a lot of stock into how you start. So yes, there is one particular team that I was quite impressed with on how they performed in the first weekend of the season. And it's actually a bit of a shocking team, and no, I do not expect them to keep this up in any way, shape, or form. But I do want to give a quick shout out to the St. Louis Cardinals. They started off 3-0, which is very shocking considering most fans and most analysts across the MLB, except this guy, had them last in their division this upcoming year. They did face against the Twins, who we talked about this in depth, Derek, somehow were at the top of sports books to win the AL Central.
Don't get me
In
started with that.
absolutely no way, shape, and form will they be winning the AL Central, by the way. But I did want to give a shout out to the St. Louis Cardinals, who swept them, not only sweeping them, but in pretty convincing fashion. Two of the games were 5-1 and then 9-2. So Twins stay losing. They're 0-4 now. They suck, which is nice to see because I don't like the Twins. And the Cardinals, showing a little bit of magic. Some of the younger guys looking good on the team. Some of the roster spots really just, once again, it is early, but some of them already showing out and doing really nice. Nolan Arenado, who is the veteran of the team, batting .455 already to begin this year, which is always nice to see. So hopefully he has a good year, but then you got some production from elsewhere. So nice to see. Wanted to give that shout out to the Cardinals.
Unfortunately, a little update is that the Cardinals are losing their game right now, so they could get their first loss, but it's against the Angels, who are 2-1 this year. So it's early, but it's how the MLB is. There's still a lot more games left, and it's still going to get very interesting throughout the whole year. Trades, signings, all this crazy shit. It's going to get fun. But Dean, that concludes our MLB segment, to where me and Dean are ecstatic about the MLB season. Love talking about it. Love talking about how good the Yankees have been hitting until when they can't pitch, they're not hitting, someone loses their leg, and such and such. So, we're going to be doing our little thing that we did last week, to where we do our little debrief on like certain sports. Dean did say he wanted to speak about tennis.
I do.
But he's not going first with tennis. I'm going to get my thought out of the way so I don't lose it, because I feel like after him talking about tennis, I'm going to lose my train of thought. So, I'm going to speak about basketball once again. I'm going to go straight into the heavy hitter for the NBA. Straight into that, literally, heavy hitter. There was a fight in the Detroit Pistons versus Minnesota Timberwolves game yesterday. Mind you, this is being filmed on Monday, and it happened on Sunday. And a well-known center from the Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Stewart, who is known for being very... How do I word this? He likes to push people's buttons. That's the best. That's the best way to put it.
Oh boy, finally got that out.
Yeah, it took me a while. But for example, Dante DiVincenzo, who you look at him, you do not see him as a guy who's like going to be in the middle of a scuffle between anyone. Me personally, as like an outsider, I'm not saying DiVincenzo is going to get into a fight with anyone. But first of all, it all started off a hard foul by Isaiah Stewart that they didn't like. That Dante DiVincenzo didn't like. He got in his face. He started chirping at him. They got separated. Boom. It's done. The next possession, I believe DiVincenzo swatted the ball out of Ron Holland's hand. Mind you, Ron Holland is a rookie. This is his first year in the NBA. And he's already getting into this scuffle, to which he did get ejected out of the game. But overall, the consensus of that is that there was a massive fight, potentially, from what people are saying is that they want Isaiah Stewart to get banned from the NBA because he's consistently getting into fights. He's like a Draymond on steroids, to where he's always getting into fights. I don't know why. It's just maybe... I feel like you could throw him in the olden age, like the Ben Wallace era, and he would be perfect. I mean, he would be a perfect fit. But nowadays, that stuff's not going to fly. All these hard, like, pushes, all these shoves, even a fucking... I know he didn't do it. An elbow to the fucking chest, elbow, or, like, any of that. That's not going to fly. Like, the Ron Artest back in the day, the metal rope piece, that's not happening nowadays. So, obviously, they got ejected. Coaches got ejected, too. It was huge. I'm pretty sure it paused the game for 20 minutes. I did want to speak about that because it was huge for the NBA, because most people were talking about that. It was between the bats and the fight. But to get past the little violence, because no one likes violence besides me, we're going to talk about the re-update on the standings. Miami Heat, my team, they're climbing up a little bit. Last week they were in the 10th seed. This week they're at the 9th seed. They are playing equally as shitty as they were. It's just they're winning some games that are helping us out. In the past 10 games, 5-5, better than 1-9. The Knicks are still not winning against good teams.
Yep.
They are, because they are not showing that they're going to survive, in my eyes, in the playoffs. I honestly think they might be first round out. If they go, for God forbid, if the Pistons fall to the 6th seed, I think Detroit is actually railroading the Knicks. I know it might be crazy to say, but I think that's going to happen. As for going down into the West, the Lakers are coming back up. They're climbing back up shortly. They had a tough game against the Bulls, to where Josh Giddey hit an absolute nuke from 49 feet out, literally launched it in, drilled it, buzzer beater. After there was I wouldn't say a buzzer beater, with like 1 second remaining, point for, I think it was Austin Reeves. I believe it was Austin Reeves. Lakers are still showing that they still have competition. They're still one of the best teams in the West. The Warriors, unfortunately, have fell, because without Curry, we're realizing that they are not as good as Jimmy Butler and Curry have to play together for them to be good, in my eyes. So, my happiness is good. One main thing, too, that I need to speak about, it's the last thing I'm going to talk about, is the Pelicans pretty much saying, fuck this shit, I'm done. Benching McCollum, Zion, and all their starters. Everyone's benched. They're pretty much tanking. They're trying to get the best pick because they want to get the man, the myth, the legend, Cooper Fleck. They want to get their best way to get the number 1 pick like they did with Zion and to build that team and make it a lot better. So, overall, that's my conclusion of the NBA. And Dean, you can now speak about your tennis.
Tennis. Yes, I did want to chat about tennis. This past couple of weeks, there has been ongoing the Miami Open, which is one of the smaller tournaments that continues to roll on throughout the year. But the big thing here is that a lot of the big major players within the sport have played in this one historically because they are starting to get ramped up for their next major that is incoming, which is going to be Roland Garros, which is the French Open. They just started their first practice tournament, if you will, on clay to prepare for Roland Garros. So that'll always be interesting. But the one I did want to speak about is the Miami Open that happened these past couple of weeks. Jakub Mensik. Jakub Mensik. Remember the name. 19-year-old. Just won his first major tournament, the Miami Open. He beat Novak Djokovic in 2 sets straight. He beat top 10 players along the way to winning the Miami Open. This is a huge feat for the youngster. It's always nice to see young players continuing to come up and the next generation coming in to play this sport. This was not your typical final either. There was a 5.5-hour rain delay. Novak Djokovic had an eye infection, and both of them were slipping all around the court because of the humidity. However, what?
He had an eye. You're telling me Djokovic had an eye infection to where the motherfucker was playing with one eye, pretty much.
He was not playing with one eye, but he had a swollen eye.
So he pretty much went around with a boxer in one eye.
Look, think of it this way: he had a sty. It was a little swollen.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, but this is one of if not the greatest tennis player of all time. So he has a little handicap. Big whoop, right? The one other thing that I did want to mention, obviously, besides Mensik winning his first ever tournament over Novak Djokovic, who better to have it over, by the way, than one of the greatest of all time. Djokovic continues moving forward to be one professional tournament away from 100 tournament wins.
I saw that.
So there's obviously a huge feat about to happen when it comes to Djokovic, and this was just a bit of a stop along the way. Mensik was able to prevent that, which I give the kid a lot of props for. As I mentioned, he defeated 3 top 10 players along the way in order just to beat Novak Djokovic and win his title. So I did want to give him props there. I obviously wanted to give the tournament props. This was a huge success for Miami. This is gearing up for the end of the year. Believe it or not, tennis is a huge part of the U.S. culture, considering the U.S. does have one of the major 4 tournaments in the U.S. Open in Queens. So it was always nice to see. They're not going to be back in the U.S. until the end of the year for the U.S. Open, so we do have some time. As I mentioned, we will be moving forward towards clay. The next major tournament is going to be the French Open, which happens in Roland Garros, which, for anybody who's not bright, Derek, it will be happening in France, hence French Open. Good job, buddy. Yes, so that'll be the next big tournament to which every single major player in the world will be playing in. I think that goes without saying, though. So you're going to have Carlos Alcaraz, you're going to have Alexander Zverev, Novak Djokovic, obviously. My boy hopefully will be playing in this depending on injuries and all that type of stuff. My Aussie, so hopefully he will be playing in this, which would be nice. It should be a fun time. This is going to be happening at the end of May, going into June. So as this comes up and as the preliminaries start to happen, I'll definitely be sure to bring it up on the podcast, whether Derek wants me to or not.
Well,
because tennis is a great sport and a lot of the first round matchups, and we have a lot of young, hungry players who want to beat these guys, who want to beat the older generation. So hopefully these next 3 tournaments that are happening this year, Roland Garros, then Wimbledon, then US Open, hopefully we have some massive upsets to talk about, and hopefully the new younger generation starts basically screaming at the top of their lungs, we're here, it's our time now, which will always be nice to see. But that's my little 5 minutes of fame on tennis.
For once, I was actually intrigued by it. Purely because I like to see in sports the young guys, like a 19-year-old beating one of the best players all time, one of the best tennis players all time.
Yep.
Is amazing to see. It's good to see for the sport because it brings in all these young fans saying like, all right, if he could do it, I want to be able to be him and do it.
Yeah. Look, unfortunately, as much as we all would want, the older generation, the GOATs, they can't play forever. It's just the way it is. Roger Federer had to retire. Rafael Nadal just retired. Novak Djokovic is going to be next, so we just have to enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, Dean, you're 100% right with all these the older generation. It will come to an end. It sucks for sports, but that's how it is for every sport. The Peyton Mannings, the Bradys, they've retired. The obviously the Joe Montanas, all these the greatest players in sports, they have to retire. They can't be there forever. But for once, congratulations, Dean. You didn't bore me with tennis. I was intrigued. But I do have a specific question for you, and it is my last segment that I have for you today. Surprise segment because I did tell you about this. So, obviously, today is March 31st. When this is being filmed, it is March 31st. It's going to be released probably in April, which means April is the month of the draft. With the Giants picking up two quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Mr. Winston. What do you want the Giants to do? And what do you think they would do?
I want the Giants to take Abdul Carter.
Okay.
Them signing these two quarterbacks has told me one specific thing about the Giants in that Joe Shane and Brian Dable are not waiting for next year. They're not waiting for another 3-14 season. Because if we're being honest, they don't have another 3-14 season. They will be gone.
Control, Alt, Delete.
So what this tells me, look, Jameis Winston is going to be a fine backup next year as well. So that's a perfect signing. But the fact that they signed Russell Wilson tells me that they think they have an opportunity to extremely improve and even vie for a playoff spot this year. Do I think they're hallucinating? Yes. However, be that as it may, if, for example, which it seems like he did, just based on how they're acting this offseason with some of the signings, with the safety, with the corner, with the two quarterbacks, it almost seems like Mara told them, go. Let's actually let's start competing again. No more rebuild. And if you're going to do that, if they suck again, that means to me that both the coach and the GM will be gone after this year. So there is in no way, shape, and form with that sort of pressure on and with that no security, Mara will allow the Giants to take a quarterback. Because God forbid they do suck this year. You're really going to do exactly what Dable and Shane had to come into, where a new regime has to use the quarterback that the old regime drafted? I don't think that's a winning formula. So you draft somebody that can help you in years to come, even in new regimes, whether that's an Abdul Carter, whether that's an offensive lineman, whether that's a wide receiver of your choosing. Just don't force a new regime onto an old regime's quarterback. So I think unless they trade up for one, which no signs have shown that, no signs have shown Tennessee is moving, you take best available at this position in order to help your team now and in the future years.
Now, in previous episodes, I've asked you this, and I said one specific name, and you said, I do not want him.
I do not.
That statement still stands.
That statement still stands. I do not want the Heisman winner.
Wow. See,
I don't.
In my opinion, I see the Giants building around, because you built around, your defensive line is very good. If you have a good secondary, it's one of the best defenses in the league.
Can you ever have enough defensive line though?
No, there's not. I didn't say that. But you need wide receiver help. But Malik Neighbors.
That's it.
And that's it. If you pair Malik Neighbors, think about this. You pair Malik Neighbors and you draft Travis Hunter. He turns out to be a wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors, Travis Hunter, and then Darius Slayton, because you paid him, you have to fucking keep him there.
And Wandale.
Yeah, and Wandale. If you have you obviously have Russell Wilson for 1 year, then you draft an Arch or someone in the next year, it's going to be good for them to say, all right, hey, I have good young wide receivers to throw to me. That's what if you're building around to get a quarterback with a new regime, you have to help him out with weapons. You can't just have him go with just Neighbors who's getting triple covered.
It's a pretty picture. It is. I will say I see no other path now than this year being a failure and both Dable and Shane getting fired.
I 100% agree.
I don't see them, even with the moves they made, which have been good, to be fair, on the defensive front of the ball in their secondary. The safety in the corner they signed, very good. I very much like the signings. However, are those signings plus Russell Wilson gonna make the Giants win 10 games?
No.
No. Not to mention, which is just repulsive, but if you look at the Giants' upcoming strength of schedule, I think they have a top 3 hardest schedule in the NFL.
They do.
So I don't see a situation, bearing I'm just wrong, and bearing a lot of Giants fans out there are wrong, I don't see a situation in which this regime comes back next year. So I think Mara is going to force them to draft best available at that position. Look, it could be Hunter. It really could be. Am I going to be pleased with that? Not really. I think there's other better options out there than drafting Travis Hunter, who, let's be real here, yes, he was a Heisman winner, but he was in Colorado with not a ton of great competition. I just think Abdul Carter would be a much better fit here. And to be honest, I could get shit-faced too because Abdul Carter may not make it past 2. So that's where I stand on that. We'll obviously talk more in depth about it as it gets closer.
Yep, I had to touch on it because in the past week there was 2 weeks ago there was the Winston signing and then the Russell Wilson signing, so I had to speak about it. But unless you have anything else you want to talk about, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I have nothing else I want to talk about with you.
Okay, that was very mean and hurtful. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry tonight. But that goes on to Dean. I'm not gonna have you do it because your voice will kill you. We're just gonna play the little Kirby intro.
No, how about you try it this time around?
Oh no, my voice will crack. I'm not embarrassing myself.
Don't hear it.
No,
Come on, buddy.
No. Cue the soundtrack.
Baller of the week.
We are entering Baller of the Week. And last week, I started. This week, you start.
Sounds like a plan to me. I'm going to go back to baseball. Opening weekend. I feel like both of us are on the same page here where it has to be baseball for the time being, at least just for this week. I am going to go on the Texas Rangers. Their number 2 pitcher going into the year, Jack Leiter. A lot was surrounding this kid. Does he have the stuff? This is after coming off last year with a 9 ERA.
Brutal.
Right? He had a horrible rookie season towards the end of the year where they were just trying to get him some innings, trying to get him some big league experience. This kid came into the year with some of the injuries as the Texas Rangers' number 2 starter against the Boston Red Sox, and he pitched extremely well, silencing some of the haters for the time being. You keep in mind, this kid can throw 100 miles per hour. He has all the goods. He just has to put it together. He went 5 innings, 4 Ks, only 1 earned run against the Boston Red Sox to earn his first win of the year, which is such a huge success, which is such a huge weight lifted off of a young pitcher's shoulders to go into the year, really performing well, your team backing you up, you getting a win. I want to give a lot of props to this kid. I personally have high hopes for this kid. I've spoken about it the last few weeks with the Texas Rangers, and I think the Rangers have a lot of high hopes for this kid. Want to give a huge shout out for a first big league win of the year for this kid, Jack Leiter. Keep it going, kid. Keep it going.
I really like Jack Leiter. Like, he's one of my favorite young pitchers who's in like the MLB. So very good one. And you are 100% right with what I'm staying with. It's baseball time, motherfuckers. My baller of the week is baseball, and I believe this news just came out, probably like a couple minutes ago, to where we were speaking about the team before, the Boston Red Sox. They said in order to fix our problems with Devers, we're gonna extend Garrett Crochet. The 25-year-old left-handed pitcher signed a $170 million extension at the age of 25 years old, which is very good. His contract's going to be going into, he's 31, which is around the same type of contract that Mets did with DeGrom at his age, to where obviously at the age of 31 he'll be able to explore his options as what DeGrom did. But obviously, huge congratulations to Crochet, because this was a huge free agency for him because he got traded. No one expected him to be acquired by the Red Sox. It was a surprise by most teams. So he got at the age of 25, acquiring $170 million for doing the job you love. It's great to see. I love to see it. I wish it wasn't on the Red Sox because I'm a Yankee fan, but overall, congratulations to him. He went from the slums in Chicago and
Can't even get it out. This is so unprofessional.
no, I can't say that. I can't say that. I was about to say something crazy. Coming from a team from the previous team he was on, who wasn't the best of teams, and now going to a team that is considered having odds to be in the playoffs and have a deep run in the playoffs. So overall, congratulations to Mr. Garrett Crochet. Thank you. Well, with Dean's voice being dead, I'm not going to have him say any words. He's just going to be doing signs and making little noises, crickets, duck noises, all of them. Exactly. Obviously, that does conclude this episode of the podcast. Dean will be talking about tennis next week. He's going to be very happy about it because he just wants to keep on getting. Dean is trying to get everyone involved in tennis, which I respect. It's a new sport. It's a sport that no one follows as much. Well, not much. Many people our age.
Oh, fuck yourself.
All right, let me finish. Not many people our age follow it. Yes or no?
Speak for yourself.
I said not many. I'm not saying all, dumbass. Shut up. All right. Overall, it's this next week. We're gonna be pretty much concluding the championship game. More baseball, NBA pretty much coming to a close because getting to the last week, and same for the NHL. To where that's when it gets heated. Playoff basketball, playoff hockey, start of baseball. It's the best time of year. And then we'll start talking about the draft. We'll bring football back into the mix. But overall, like, subscribe, follow on TikTok, follow on MySpace, follow Dean's, all of his pages. Any pages that are out there. His LinkedIn, all of them.
Sure. I could use the connections. Just remember to hit up Derek on onlyfarmers.com.
Yeah. I need some more money. I need to produce for the podcast like a bear editor. But overall, like, subscribe, hope you enjoy, and I'll see you guys next week.